Not everything that gets recorded is meant to be found. Not everything that happens is meant to be understood. Welcome to the last broadcast. The Tacoma phone stalker. The house sat in complete darkness. A single blue light pulsed on the kitchen counter, emanating from a 2007 flip phone. Heather Kuykendall pressed play on the newest voicemail entry. She prepared herself for the familiar, raspy voice of their anonymous stalker, expecting the standard playground insults and vague threats that had disrupted their lives for weeks. The audio filled the room, freezing her in place. It contained no verbal threats. Instead, Heather heard a clear recording of a private conversation that occurred inside her own living room hours earlier. The window blinds were drawn during that conversation, the deadbolts were thrown, and the family was entirely alone. Yet their own voices echoed back to them through the small digital speaker. The Kuykendalls realized their situation crossed a dangerous line. A stranger possessed access to the interior of their home. Fircrest, Washington, maintained a quiet, predictable rhythm in 2007. The suburban community revolved around shared schools, manicured lawns, and a general sense of safety. The Kuykendall family lived quietly within this environment until 16-year-old Courtney received her first mobile phone. Cellular devices in 2007 functioned as simple tools. People trusted them implicitly because they lacked complex internet tracking, location sharing, and modern data collection systems. The disruption began with confusion at school. Friends approached Courtney, demanding to know why she sent them cryptic, offensive text messages. Courtney checked her outbox, found it empty, and denied sending the texts. Her parents viewed the situation as a teenage misunderstanding or a temporary carrier glitch. The issue expanded rapidly over the following week. Dozens of strange texts flooded Courtney's entire contact list while her phone remained powered down inside her backpack. The anonymous entity shifted from text to voice. Every incoming call displayed a restricted status on the screen. The initial interactions involved basic insults and heavy breathing. Within days, the frequency escalated into a relentless barrage. The phone rang at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., and 4 a.m., shattering the family's sleep cycle. Heather began documenting the audio files, saving the voicemails as evidence before contacting the Fircrest Police Department. The caller abandoned childish taunts, replacing them with specific malicious data. The voice detailed the names of individual family members. The speaker promised harm to the family dogs, described violence against Courtney's grandparents, and threatened Courtney directly. The psychological impact destabilized the household. The Kuykendalls stopped sleeping, altered their daily driving routes to work and school, and watched the dark streets constantly. The harassment entered a terrifying phase when the caller demonstrated real-time observation. "That red sweater looks good on you," the voice whispered seconds after Heather changed her clothes inside her bedroom. The caller recited their exact movements, listing who entered the driveway and who left the premises down to the minute. Terrified, the family searched the perimeter of the property, checked the tree lines, and scanned nearby vehicles for a physical stalker. They found an empty street. The discovery of the recorded living room conversation changed the trajectory of the police investigation. Days later, a new voicemail arrived containing a recorded discussion between the Kuykendalls and a responding police detective. The family concluded that the stalker possessed the ability to manipulate their cellular hardware, turning the phones into active remote microphones. The local police department admitted total confusion, lacking the technical framework to explain how a consumer phone could be exploited this way. The technical anomalies bypassed the known boundaries of cellular engineering. Outgoing calls materialized on the family's billing statements without human intervention. The devices began calling their own numbers, causing a phone to ring while displaying its identical digits on the screen. The family stated the activity persisted when the batteries were drained and the power was cut. The phones activated themselves, changed their own ringtones, and overrode manual settings. Just as investigators began expressing skepticism regarding the family's claims, the perimeter of the case expanded. Two additional Fircrest residents, Darcy Price and Andrea McKay, reported identical patterns of harassment. They received constant calls from a restricted number, heard the same distorted voice, and witnessed their phones operating independently. Police connected the dots, realizing all three households shared social circles. The stalker was targeting a specific network of people. The Fircrest police dedicated significant resources to the case. Detectives collected the physical handsets, scrutinized cellular billing data, and attempted to trace the origin of the spoofed incoming lines. Despite months of intense tracking and repeated interviews with the victims, the digital trail vanished into a maze of routing servers. Investigators found 0 physical suspects and 0 actionable electronic signatures. The local mystery evolved into a national media sensation. Regional newspapers printed front-page features, drawing the attention of major networks. A BC News dispatched a production crew to Fircrest to interview the traumatized families. The network broadcast the actual voicemail recordings to millions of viewers across the country. Public speculation erupted online, creating theories about black market military spyware and digital entities. The intense media scrutiny forced a public response from Sprint, the primary service provider. Independent security analysts stepped forward to analyze the technical landscape of 2007. They confirmed that caller ID spoofing required simple, widely available Internet software. However, they drew a firm line between software tricks and hardware reality. The experts stated that activating a completely powered-down phone or recording ambient room audio without an open cellular connection was a physical impossibility for consumer technology in 2007. A profound division emerged when investigators compared the physical evidence against the family's testimony. The victims described phones that generated calls while turned off, altered their own software, and recorded private rooms. Major telecommunication carriers and engineering experts stated the underlying network architecture was incapable of executing those actions. The limited technical literacy of the local police department allowed the mystery to grow. Investigators accepted the impossible technical claims as objective fact because they witnessed the family's genuine panic. In reality, a closed loop of extreme stress and social reinforcement likely amplified a standard case of phone harassment into an unexplainable, supernatural conspiracy. The momentum of the investigation died as the months passed. Police never executed comprehensive subpoenas for the route carrier routing logs. Without physical evidence or a digital breakthrough, the national news teams withdrew their cameras from Fircrest. The public forgot the story, leaving the Kuykendalls to navigate the lingering psychological aftermath of a localized digital siege. 2 decades later, the Fircrest phone anomaly remains entirely unresolved. The state never filed criminal charges. No suspect faced a courtroom, and official agencies left the file open. The intense psychological torment of the family stands as a documented reality, yet the extraordinary claims of self-activating spy phones remain unverified by any scientific data. The case endures as a cautionary tale from the early mobile era, highlighting the terrifying space where human panic meets unfamiliar technology.